All right, welcome back to the TLG Show. My name is Tyson Lee Griffin. We are here with my co-host Mike Placencia.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about life. First thing in life, I'm gonna talk about the Garden of Life, which is one of my sponsors, and they've got this brand new sports line out, which they are saying is the cleanest performance line ever. And I've actually been taking up Garden of Life Raw for a long time now. Not all their stuff is raw, but they do have a raw line. So Garden of Life Raw is a plant-based raw food and supplement company. They've got vitamins, minerals, they've got foods, and now just recently, they've got the sport line, which is actually really cool. And this is a recovery drink right here that they've got a little bit of everything in it, but also hits the best things. It's vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So they do what I believe is the best kind of supplements out there. They've got some organic cherries in here, organic turmeric, and lots of magnesium. The cherries are a really strong antioxidant. The turmeric is going to be a natural anti-inflammatory, and the magnesium is one of the sort of electrolytes that a lot of people don't always get in there, so it's going to replenish that after your workout too. Here they've got Mike was asking me what I was going to eat for breakfast, and I was telling him I might be eating one of these protein bars because these are delicious.
So no McDonald's?
No McDonald's. I don't even want to say that word anymore. These are amazing chocolate fudge protein bars that are plant-based. They've actually got BCAAs in here as well, 3.2 grams, 10 grams of fiber, 20 grams of plant protein. So if you're a plant person, if you're a vegetarian, or you're a vegan, you definitely want to check out Garden of Life Raw. And they've got this amazing supplement line out now, the sport line. Last but not least, which is cool, and I guess goes exactly away from everything I was just saying about vegan and vegetarian, but they came together and got a grass-fed whey protein, which is awesome. And I actually put some of this in, made a chocolate pudding. Have you ever had avocado chocolate pudding?
No, but I'd enjoy it if you can make me some.
Yeah, I should have made some, but I didn't. But yeah, it's actually delicious. I don't know if you look up recipes about making pudding out of avocados and chocolate, and if you use Garden of Life Raw as a grass-fed chocolate whey protein, it's awesome, delicious. Anyway, check them out, gardenoflife.com. They've got some great stuff out there, and we'll continue on talking about life. Mike, what's going on with you?
Yeah, just came back from LA, man.
Yeah.
It was had a lot of stuff I had to do. I got to see Joe Rogan on Saturday.
Oh, that's
so that
awesome.
was pretty cool. Yeah,
I was watching Joe Rogan's Netflix special that he put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comedy special is pretty cool. How was seeing him in LA?
I was at the Comedy Store. So, for those who know, it's on Sunset. He's he was the closer. So he had some people before him. Yeah, he's awesome as usual. Took the girlfriends out front row, and yeah. Great
That's
time,
cool.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him down in San Jose when he was down there. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like seeing. I don't know. I like seeing the way he does things, man. It's cool, kind of watching him grow as a comic and his performance, and
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, he's gotten a lot better, and his stage presence has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
And he's a lot more natural up there. And like at first, I'll be honest, I was not a Joe Rogan hater because I love Joe Rogan. I think he's awesome, but like some of his stand up in the past, it felt looked forced. You feel like the same way or no?
I don't know. I just think him as a person, I think you could, because he's very forward and like who he is, right? And I think who he evolved as a person. That's what we're seeing.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the evolution of Joe Rogan as a comic and as like stand-up comedian is really cool for me now. Like, cause I don't know, I definitely resonate a few things with him. Obviously, like martial arts and cannabis, and but more so just being open and being honest and just being loving and trying to like be healthy mentally, you know what I mean? Like not worry about too much bullshit, and just seeing the world for what it really is. And that's what's cool about Joe Rogan. As far out as he gets with some of his crazy ass, conspiracy theories.
Well, it's mostly Eddie Bravo, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. But sometimes, it comes back to reality though. Sometimes you got to go out on those rabbit holes and think about what could be and what this and what that, and
he's
and
very
realize how small we are. It actually happened to me over the weekend. I had an incident where, if you look on my Instagram, you'll see I posted a little video about it. But I was moving the trash cans for the weekend, putting them out front to get taken out. And with all this weather, there's some salamanders under there. And I forgot, I didn't realize there was some salamanders under there because I didn't know, they were there. But they hide under things all the time, Anyway, I'm moving one of them, and it was the big salamander, the parent salamander. It smashed its tail, cut it completely off, and it goes squirming and running off into the bushes. And I was like, damn, I fucking killed a salamander. I was like, I didn't mean to kill a salamander today. But, it's I kill things on purpose. I'll fish and kill things on purpose knowing that I'm going to eat it. But I don't want to kill things on accident,
You kill people's ankles too?
But I kill ankles too, yeah. But anyway, I got a little worried. I was like, damn, I think I just killed a salamander. And I'm like, wait a second. It looks like a lizard. Maybe it'll grow its tail back just like, all the other animals that are out there. And there's a bunch of little baby salamanders there too. So I was like, man, I just killed its parents. Oh, man. feeling kind of guilty about it because it wasn't intentional, you know what I mean? But then I come to find out that salamanders, not only will grow their tail back, but they can even grow back things like their jaws, their eyes, their heart. They're like the...
How do you know all this?
Because I looked it up on Google, man.
After you cut off the tail and actually
looked right away, I had to look it up.
Oh, man, you were that sentimental about it then, huh?
I'm not sentimental. I'm just curious.
Oh, okay.
I'm just a curious person. And actually, that's one of my nicknames back at Extreme Couture. They called me Google because they said I thought I knew everything. But it's not that I think I know everything. It's that I'm just curious about shit. And that's another reason I resonate with Joe Rogan is that it's just being curious and learning more all the time.
Oh,
so,
there you go. All right.
what ended up happening was they learned that they are the highest order of animal to regenerate body parts. They basically can regenerate more, I think, than any other animal on the planet. So if I was gonna jack up anything, I was the perfect animal to jack up, and it's gonna be fine and grow its tail back. And things like that just remind me how even though we're bigger species, how less evolved we really are, and how simple and
we're more fragile than that.
Yeah, how fragile we really are. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things I put in the post. It was like, man, could you imagine if we could regenerate? If we could regenerate shit, even if it was just, I don't know, this finger doesn't work. Let me just cut it off and it'll regenerate and I'll have a better finger. I mean, I broke this finger. Let me just cut it off and regenerate a new one. That would be amazing.
It would suck for MMA. You want to know why?
Why?
Because all the fighters that are forced to retire because of a bad knee, bad shoulder, they'll just cut it off and be right back where they were, a champion. So no one else will ever be a champion again.
It wouldn't suck. That'd be awesome for guys like me. We'd be able to cut things off and regenerate, and you get to truly see the best of the best in their prime. It'd be like Joe Rogan wants it. It'd be just like Joe Rogan wants it. Everybody would be just the biggest, strongest, fastest athletes. Joe Rogan's not all for it, but he thinks he does want to see the biggest, strongest dudes compete, whether they're using PEDs or not.
He said his favorite person was that TRT Vitor Belfort. That's
right?
Funny,
that dude's a beast, right? TRT Vitor is a beast. I mean, Dan Henderson said he's going right back on it. Anyway, yeah, it was cool, and just put things in perspective. It really grounded me again. I thought I'm this big human species, and I'm in control of things, and I almost took this thing's life. But then I was like, wait. I'm not in control of shit.
Yeah.
I'm just a human. I'm fragile as fuck.
Yep.
I'm going to die one day. I'm not going to regenerate a thing. They got to put it back together. I got to get a fake one. I got to get a plastic one. That just... I don't know. It's one of those things that keeps me grounded. And Einstein says, Albert Einstein has a quote, if you look deep into nature, you'll understand things better. And those are those instances and experiences with nature for me that keep me grounded and just help me understand things a little bit more, And I think a lot of people these days are disconnected with nature and need to get back out there in nature and really do connect with themselves and see what we really are, be humble human beings and be grateful for just being alive. Anyway,
Yep.
more current events. We had I held over the weekend. I've been thinking about doing it for a long time. I held a women's self-defense workshop.
Oh, good.
And it was something I've been thinking about for a long time, but it's something that I wanted to do because I feel like women do need to learn how to protect themselves in this day and age with all these crazy people out there, you know what I mean? Like, and unfortunately, there's a lot of broken men and other women, I'm sure, that want to hurt other women. But man, like, some of the shit that I've seen, lately, or just whatever, man, it's crazy how people treat women. And I don't know if it's because I grew up getting raised by 3 women and my dad wasn't around, that I actually don't really. I shouldn't say I don't. There's a lot of men I respect, but man, men, I'll be honest, they kind of suck, and I know that because I am a man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna be real. Like, I know that because I am a man, and like, but if you're looking again, taking that Albert Einstein approach, looking into nature a little deeply, like, we have a different mindset and hormonal balance than women. Women are nurturers. They're there to protect. They're there to love unconditionally. Like, they have the ability to stay in abusive and or maybe or situations where they know that something might go wrong. Their gut tells them something's wrong, but then of course their emotions get involved and they get attached, and they gotta be compassionate and be women, and that's one thing that men don't have. Like, if you look at even the lion world, you've got all these women that raise the pride basically and do all the work, and they do all the hunting, and then the king gets to come in and eat first, but there's usually only one big male, the big alpha lion, and at the same time, if another one comes in to fight him and they think they're gonna die, man, the male instinct is to run. Not to stay and fight, it's to run, survive, and start another pride or start another tribe or whatever it is. So for me, I feel like that's one way I can give back to the community, is create this women's workshop and truly train them and empower them to learn how to defend themselves with mixed martial arts techniques and also some self-defense techniques I've learned throughout my years. I've also got Derek Easterling, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, helping me out with it. We've only done it once now, but we're going to do it every month. It's going to be the first Sunday of every month. It's going to be at my gym here, Performance Fitness and MMA in Albany, California. You see the banner up here. If you want to check it out, come on by anytime. We offer a week for free if you want to come try classes and just get involved in the regular programs. I'm going to be doing some new stuff moving forward. We're going to have some evening classes, some no-gi grappling classes, what I call American Jiu-Jitsu classes. And then we're going to also have some MMA sparring classes in the evenings. But enough about that. Back to the women's workshop. At the women's workshop, we're going to be doing more than just showing techniques. We're going to really be focused on the psyche and learning how to tap into your own brain and actually empower yourself. There's a lot of people that they learn martial arts techniques, but they don't have the psychological awareness or strength to apply them in a confrontational setting.
Like they freeze up, right?
Exactly, freeze up. Fear can make everybody freeze up. It does it to professional fighters. Does it to the biggest, strongest guys in the world. Doesn't matter if you're taking steroids or whatever. Like, people freeze. Yeah. I've froze before. Yeah. I know I have. Have you froze before? Yeah. Right? So the only way to not freeze is to practice not freezing. And that's why I wanted to create this workshop, so I can help empower women to not freeze. And if you want to look at the link, it's on Eventbrite. There's an Eventbrite link out there to purchase tickets to the next one. It's to be on Sunday, March 5th. And yeah, check out that link. Anyway, that's something that I really want to do. And I don't know, after going to the Tony Robbins event and all the marches that were going on with the women, it was something that I felt like I had to do. And one thing I was learned at the Tony Robbins event, that if there's anything in life that you feel like you've always wanted to do, you have to do it. And that was one of them for me. For me, that was something I've thought about for a very long time. I've really wanted to do it, and finally doing it, man, it sort of released some sort of like pressure almost. It was really it was really interesting how that happened, and you know, the guy's right. Tony Robbins is right. If you have anything you want to do, he said, singing lessons, piano lessons, anything you want to do, make sure you do that shit. And
you gotta do something that scares you almost, right? Like,
well, it's not even that. It's just that it'll hold you back. You'll feel like a failure almost. It'll like, I don't know, thinking about mental health, man, can create some like anxiety and depression almost. Like, man, I'm a failure. I can't even do this, or I can't even. I've always wanted to do this, but why can't I do this? Well, I can't do this because of this, and because of this, and because of this, and you know, all the limiting beliefs and whatever you put in the way to not allow you to take that step and try to actually execute, you know, whatever it is. So, trying to get that done. I'm glad I got that done. So, women's self-defense workshop, and then also over the weekend was UFC Fight Night. UFC Houston was it, I believe.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess on the same topic of, you know, mental health and performance, you know, Felice Herrig had a great win over Alexa Grasso, who's a young star. But I noticed that Felice in her post-fight interview brought up, you know, a lot of some mental stuff about performance and training and getting with a performance coach and getting that stuff worked out, where she was maybe overtraining and probably leaving some fights in the gym and not executing on the day and the time that she really needed to execute. So that for me is really cool to see her get the help she really needed and get that mental performance coaching. And that's something that I also really focus on with my fighters, and also with that self-defense workshop. I've got a sports psychologist, Mo. She's awesome. She's down in Beverly Hills. You know, she helps me out for free, and she loves what she does. So she's giving back to me and the fighters, and then these women. So, you know, mental health and psychological performance is something that I'm passionate about and wanting to help learn more, and give that to my fighters and these women in these workshops. So, mental health and performance is huge for me, especially nowadays. That's something that I've been focused on more in my life. Like, I don't know, we've talked about a little bit before about, you know, your passion, your mental health and performance, but is that something that you've made as a point to keep an eye on these days?
So let me kind of just really quick, I'll tell you what, this was yesterday actually. I had an audition for a McDonald's commercial yesterday.
Don't say that word.
That's what's funny about bringing it up. So it was an audition for a McDonald's commercial in the city, and it's very easy, like for actors, especially if you have something really high stakes, like if it's a big movie or whatever it is, you know, commercials like that, they pay a lot of money. So the whole mental thing, go back to the freezing thing and then the whole mental psyche of it, it's very easy to walk into the waiting room to sign in and to see all the other actors that are sitting there waiting and to get overwhelmed. And so all the mental stuff, if you have a script, all the stuff you did in your car, kind of like leaving it at the gym, all the training you did for the fight, you're amazing in the gym, just like you're amazing in the car with the script in your hand. You have it down, you practiced it, you're delivering it, you feel great, you get out of your car, and then boom, you walk into the lobby.
And that asshole that has better shoes than you.
Anything, whatever reason, you glance over at the guy sitting over there, and he has his headshot in his hand, and you see like a list of credits, like, and then you hear him talking to another guy. Yeah, I got this Home Depot commercial running right now. So you start to get psyched out, like this guy's better than you. You start, even if you're not saying that, something along those lines. You have your
own mental triggers.
So when you walk into the room, right after you were thinking that, they call you in the room. You're shattered, dude. And next thing you know, you can't even do your thing right. Everything you practice, everything you train goes out the window. Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah. So for me, like, to answer your question, like, you know, to practice the whole thing or whatever, to be into the right mind frame, I think I've been doing it for long enough, and like doing the breathing thing, and then just really telling myself I know like where I'm at. Like I know I'm one of the best in the room. Just like not letting all that other...
Just remembering that your only competition is truly yourself.
That's really it, man.
Yeah.
All they want to see is me. They want to see me at my best. That's what they want to see. It doesn't matter anybody else. If me at my best is what they want, I'm going to get it. If me at my best is not what they want because somebody else was better and they're at their best, that I'm totally good with that.
Totally good with that. You have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. Yeah.
Not focusing on the outcome.
Yep.
Just focus on what you can do. Focus on the work. Focus on staying present, being in the moment.
Exactly.
For sure.
So I think I did that yesterday.
Yeah. You killed it. So you killed it yesterday is what you're saying?
Honestly, yeah. I did it the best that I could have did it. And I'm
Nice.
totally satisfied with it. I'm
Good.
totally.
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's all you can do. At the end of the day, that's all you can do is go out there and do your best. And I remember with Randy Couture coaching me, that was some of the things he would always say. He'd say, hey, man, at the end of the day, all you can do is go out there and do your best.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And when you hear things like that, you're like freaking out about so much shit, and you hear that so simply put, it just like sense of calm. It's like, oh man, I guess he's fucking all right.
All that other shit doesn't matter.
I know, but that's all you can do. All you can do is your best. Like, and I know that term, a lot of people hate actually. A lot of people hate that term. Oh.
Because it sounds like so cliche. And like,
yeah, it's so cliche. There's actually a whole generation of parents that raise their kids just the best way they could. They just all I did was my best.
Do your best.
And like, I was actually watching this comedian. I can't remember his name. Neil something on Netflix, and he was talking about, abusive parents and growing up in abusive relationships and not relationships, but abusive parents, and how they're gonna say hey, I just did my best, and that's the truth. It's the hardest truth to accept. I guess we're gonna go on this tangent now. I got a young fighter, and not a young fighter. He wants to be a fighter. He's a young kid in my gym, and he grew up really rough, man. He grew up rougher than I did. He had a very, Speaking of Tony Robbins, I told his name is Junior. I guess I'll say it. He's not scared. He's not he's not shy about it. He tells me, we talk about it in front of everybody, and I'm sure he wouldn't care about me bringing it up. But anyway, he had an abusive mother, just like Tony Robbins, and it was actually very cool for me because I didn't have an abusive mother. I didn't get treated the way he got treated, but it was nice to be able to give him a reference and be like, hey man, this guy Tony Robbins has such a similar story to you that it actually like blows my mind. And you can do whatever you want to do, man. You can be an amazing person, and the kid has some amazing goals already because of his upbringing, and the way he looks at life is actually really cool. But again, him accepting that it was just the best way his mother knew to raise him is really hard for him. Me and him talk about it all the time, and it's really hard for him and he wants to know why. He's got all these questions, and he wants answers, and I'm trying to explain to him, like, look, you can ask your mom, but she doesn't know you anything.
She's never going to explain it to him. But
she whatever, but
that
whatever
answer that he wants is never going to get it.
He might not get it.
Yeah.
He could.
He's probably not going to.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. But the problem is having that expectation of, I want to know this, is going to lead to that potential letdown. But anyway, him coming to grips with that, I think will eventually allow him to grow. And like, for me, that's why I really like coaching, is recognize, because I recognize in myself why I got into this sport at some point in my life. I was like, holy shit, I was doing this for my mental health. Like,
you didn't realize it, right?
I was on a journey. Yeah, like I didn't realize it a long time ago, but then now looking into all this like performance and high performers and how successful people and all this stuff. So I started looking at myself that way. I basically used like the Tim Ferriss sort of questions and like questioned myself. How did I become this way? What did I do that was, exceptional to the rule, and this and that and everything. And that's where I realized that it was more just about my mental game. My mental game was what was better than anybody else's. It wasn't anything else. It was more my mental game being better than everybody else's. And I guess what I was trying to explain is that with someone like Junior who wants to fight, it's interesting, this like sort of dichotomy of, this is the motivator to fight and compete because you sort of have this rough life or this lost soul, but then at the same time, that anger and that drive sometimes makes them fight a little bit more emotional and reckless. And it just reminds me that almost 100% with everybody, our biggest strength is also our biggest weakness.
Do you feel like you did that a couple times in the UFC? You fought maybe a little reckless?
No, I can't say I have. No,
Okay.
that's something that I truly believe I learned to do throughout my career was control my emotions in the cage.
Okay.
Maybe too much. Maybe I should have been more reckless. Maybe I should have, fought more from my heart and not from my head. There was one time in my Sean Shirk fight where I went crazy, and I think I dropped my hands, was yelling at him and letting him punch me, literally. Dropped my hands, let him punch me, and then, the second time he did it, I watched him throw the jab. I slipped, I countered, I rocked him, I cracked him. I rocked him bad, and then started throwing a bunch of punches, but then because of the adrenaline dump and just getting too wound up, I got tired. I got tired for a second, so I had to run a little bit, recover a little bit. And even I think Joe Rogan, I remember in the commentary, was like, "Oh, looks like he made a little rookie mistake. Got a little excited, And so I learned from that experience and tried to learn to control those emotions in the cage. And it's good to get excited and have that, and you got to learn to control it. So it's that balance, It's like we're always everyone's trying to find that balance,
For sure.
And the next fight that was on the UFC fight night, or not the next fight, the main event that night, the Korean Zombie versus Dennis Bermudez. Ooh. How crazy was that, man? I was, cheering and rooting and hoping for Dennis Bermudez. You know what I mean?
Thought actually
my fellow brown wrestler.
I thought he would win, actually.
And then he got caught, man, with that vicious uppercut. I think it was a little early stoppage, but at the same time, he kind of got cracked pretty good. And Herb Dean's one of the best. But man, I feel like Dennis rocked him a couple times pretty good, and they weren't even thinking about stopping it. And then he got dropped, and they stopped it pretty quick. But it is what it is. Fighter safety is number one.
Yep.
And again, mental health, concussions. That's about fighter safety. I've been stopped, a couple times in my career. I feel like one stoppage was early, one stoppage was justified, and I guess there was a third time which was complete bullshit. But I'm not gonna talk about that fight. I'm not gonna talk about that Jay-Z fight that got stopped for no reason. That was crap. But
that was a Strikeforce one, right?
No, that was in World Series of Fighting.
Oh,
maybe I'll get that one back one day.
Yeah,
if I get my body healthy.
You want him first?
Yeah, I definitely would want Jay-Z. Actually, no, I'd want Firmino first. I want my last fight back first. And then we'll just go down the road. We'll just go like the most recent loss, and then we'll just start marching down everybody that I lost to.
So Frankie's third?
What's that?
Frankie's third?
He'd be like last because he's the first person I lost to.
That's right.
Pay attention, silly.
Go on. Sorry.
Come on. But yeah, that'd be how I would do it. I would just go run down the road. Bart Palachewski's out because he's retired now. God bless him. But yeah, and then what else happened this weekend? We had the Super Bowl. Speaking of mental health and performance and staying in the game.
Your boy Brady.
Holy shit. Not my boy.
It's your boy, dude.
My boys, I don't really have any boys, to be honest. But if I was going to have one for that Super Bowl, it would be Devonta Freeman. I hope I pronounced his name right. He might be mad at me. Ironically, Freeman's my dad's name, so it's pretty ironic. But yeah. My mom kept yelling, number 24, number 24, because he was running that ball over the field. I mean, killing him. And then somehow the Patriots and Tom Brady slowly pulled it back together.
Is he the greatest?
Is he the greatest? I don't know. I'm not a huge football fan. I had a better question from my younger brother, Kyle Griffin. He's a avid fan. Needless to say, I'm sure he had money on the game. I should ask him who he bet on. That's what we should do.
Because he always bets on football games?
Yeah, he's out there in Vegas, and unfortunately, he loves the sports book. He likes to hang out. He gets all the TVs, so he can watch all the games, and he gets to see all the, the odds. And,
I'm glad I don't live there.
Yeah, would you be in trouble if you lived there?
Fuck yeah,
You got a gambling problem?
I'd be on the poker table all the time.
Yeah.
I love the crap tables, but I'll be more so probably on the poker table.
Are you good at it?
I'm pretty good at it, but at the same time, so many people play it, and a couple bad beats is really easy. It's just really easy to test it, and then bam, bust.
It's really, you can just see it. You can just see you itching right now. I can just see it in you. It's just like I don't.
I'm all, where's the closest casino right now?
That's That's funny.
Yeah.
But speaking of health, mental health, and just in general, like for me, one thing I'm a stickler about looking stuff up. I'm a stickler about definitions. I'm a stickler about trying to learn shit, like I was saying about over this weekend and Googling the salamander thing and learning more, you know, like I do love to learn. Like I didn't pay attention much in school, to be honest, because I didn't find certain things interesting. So if it wasn't interesting, I didn't pay attention to it. Sports to me were interesting, so I paid attention to sports and moving and played every sport I could. And you know, science to me was actually pretty cool. I really like science. I paid attention to science in school. And so yeah, thinking about health, you know, and like really for me, I started looking down all these definitions because everyone's got their own. Everybody knows everything these days, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows everything these days. So I get so tired of arguing with everybody about definitions instead of just getting to the work that I like to just look up shit. So we're gonna go with Merriam-Webster's, definitions from online. I just look up shit and I go with the highest source, Merriam-Webster. That's the dictionary. We're going with it. So health, the definition that I got off the internet, the condition of being sound in body, mind, or spirit, especially freedom from physical disease or pain. And this is talking about the general condition of the body, general condition or state of being. So like when we're talking about health, we're not talking about just physical health. We're talking about sound mind and spirit. And you know, that's something for me throughout my life that I kind of came full circle on with dieting and like learning that health was more than physical. It was more about mental. For me, I'm learning now that it was more about mental than anything. That I had the physical stuff figured out, you know, like I looked healthy, you know, I was in shape, I weighed in, I lost a lot of weight. I could always lose a lot of weight, and I came up with a little theory that was like, just look in the mirror, ask yourself how you look and how you feel. You know, do you like how you look? Do you like how you feel? And I could always figure out to make myself like how I looked, but I didn't always match that with how I felt. And that's something from these extreme zero fat diets that really jacked me up, I think, in the past when I didn't have all this information and understand how to eat for long-term health. I was eating for short-term weight loss, you know, these crash diets, if you will. And that really, I think, played a negative effect in my mental performance and my mental health. Yeah. I mean, especially growing up the way I grew up, it didn't necessarily help either, you know. So growing up the way I grew up without having my dad around, and it created a good amount of anxiety and depression, especially with like my dad. My dad was in jail my whole life, and a lot of the relationship that I had with him was, contact through letters or over the phone, and him constantly telling me things that didn't happen. Simply put, constantly saying things that didn't happen and weren't going to happen. But he wanted me to believe him for whatever reason. Everything from he's going to buy me things to he's going to get out on certain days or dates or whatever, right? Never, ever happened. But it also taught me not to listen to people. It taught me to look at people's actions and see what they do. So I learned from that. And I learned to stop listening to people. Maybe a little too much. Maybe I just stopped listening to people too much. But that's what I do, man. Unfortunately, I stopped listening to people. I started paying attention to their actions, because physiological signs and their tone when they talk will tell you more than the actual words that come out of their mouth.
Dude, I gotta tell you something really quick.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, just point out where you're at.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So, I went with my girlfriend to LA, like I was telling you earlier, and she has one of her family members that's been staying with us since November. He's 18, kind of a troubled kid, right? Mm-hmm. And we didn't tell him that we were leaving to LA until like a few days before, because she kind of like a weird feeling about it. We weren't sure if like he was going to throw a party at the house or whatever. She was kind of just really iffy about saying when we were leaving, when we were coming back, because I guess in a way she didn't trust them to a certain extent.
Kids are too damn smart these days, man. They're fucking plan something. Yeah.
So check it out. So we were gone from Wednesday and we came back Sunday. And on Saturday he called her when we were in LA and started asking, like, basically when we were going to be back. No, this was Friday. Friday. He was calling us basically. She wouldn't tell him, but she said, just remember, don't be throwing parties in my house. Make sure it's clean, blah, 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 blah. Well, we came back Sunday. She was getting stuff out of the car, and I walked inside the house, and he was inside the bedroom. And he's never done this before. I was sitting at the table, like, putting stuff on the table, and he came out and he's like, hey, what's up, Michael? The way he tapped me and the way he looked at me, I felt a weird vibe. Like, okay, he's never done that before.
Something's wrong.
Something.
The energy's everything, man.
I felt it, bro. Like, without saying it, I was like, and he walked back I was like, what's up, man? And kind of he walked back to the room, and I said, that was the most awkward thing he's ever done. He's never done that to me before. All the time. I've seen him almost every morning. Something's not right. So I just let it go. And so I helped her take all the stuff out of the car. And then she noticed stuff was, like, rearranged in our bedroom. Cut a long story short, he threw a party on Friday, and some people went into our bedroom, stole money, and stole shit out of our closet. Went through, like, my girlfriend's purses and, like, went through her jewelry.
Oh, man.
But to go back to the physiology thing, I felt it, man. It was weird. And, like, I've noticed, I would say probably in the past, like, a couple of years, whatever, I don't know, just getting older, that I'm more in tune with that. I can kind of sense it and feel it. It was so apparent that something was wrong when he came up to me and did that, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I've been, my whole life, man, I've actually gotten so good at reading people. Like, I joke around and say that I hate it. Like, I'm so good at reading people, but
because sometimes you don't want to be right.
I don't want to be right, but that's my real problem. It's not that
you give everybody the benefit of the doubt because you want them to do the right thing.
I have this, like, faith and belief that everybody is like me, that everybody wants to grow and everybody wants to change, everybody wants to do better, but that's not the facts. That's not the fact of life, and people are who they are, and I've got to accept that more, and I've got to listen to my gut more and take action more and keep moving myself away from those people who I just feel that energy is wrong from. Right?
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
I'm right with you on that, man.
My head gets in the way sometimes, and, like, you know what I mean? I convince myself this is why, or to do this, or, you know what I mean? Like, but you got to listen to your gut, man. Energy is everything. You got to listen to your gut, and if it's meant to be, they'll figure this shit out and they'll come back around. Like, but yeah, that's like, just making good decisions and having good health. You know what I mean? Like, and for me, like I said, growing up the way I grew up. I had I had a lot of anxiety and depression when I was younger. I didn't realize it until now, but I addressed that, or I combated that with food. You know, I had a relationship with food. That was my friend. Dogs and food. I could always trust dogs to be dogs, and I could always trust food to be food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It always made you happy, quote unquote. And that's one thing that I've also learned too, is that what you eat, you know, has a huge effect not only on what you're going to eat later, but your mental health and performance. And
you are what you eat.
I ate a lot of sugar growing up.
Yeah.
I ate a lot of sugar, and when it comes to your mental health and long-term health, it's definitely not what you want to consume. Processed sugar, any sugar, carbohydrates, anything that turns into sugar in the blood, even too much protein turns into sugar in the bloodstream through a process called glycolysis. Like, just too much sugar is not good. And I know for me growing up that, like, I ate a ton of candy. It was my go-to, and it creates this sort of, like, dopamine in the brain where, like, it's like a drug, like that sugar high. And, like, people don't know why they get these, like, uncontrollable snacking. Is because they're eating that sugar, and their gut bacteria literally craves it wants more sugar, and you have to keep feeding that sugar. And even, like, I remember we'll go to this story. I remember, you know, like red vines, right? You grew up, you know,
licorice.
My generation, everybody, licorice, red vines, right? Everybody ate red vines growing up. And I played baseball, so that was, like, always at the snack shack, red vine. And I always wanted the big old tub, right? You wanted the big old tub for yourself. I remember one Christmas, my mom bought me a big old tub of red vines, right? I'm so excited. I was a fat kid growing up. I was a butterball, I'm not going to lie. I was, like, real life Goldberg from Mighty Ducks. And
I met that kid in LA, by the way. But
oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm his long lost brother.
That's funny.
And I remember I I started eating these red vines and going through them so fast that my mom took them away from me.
Oh shit!
And I like maybe they were just keeping me happy. I was just, this
Taking
depressed
them all
little fat
down?
kid. Yeah, man. I had my happy drug and was just going crazy. And then she took them away from me. She started like giving back to me like in intervals to like monitor how much I would eat. And God bless her soul for doing that and paying attention. So, like, parents, please pay attention somewhat to how much sugar your kids eat. Don't let them ruin themselves because, at the end of the day, the brain is the fattiest organ in the body, and it needs fat to function properly. It needs fat to function healthily, but it doesn't just need any fat. So you have to be careful what kind of fats you're eating. So I was eating tons of sugar and crappy fats and not eating those good quality fats. You need good quality, clean fats. Like, at the end of the day, this stuff is grass-fed, and that's the good source of dairy that you want to have. Like if you're going to have dairy, you got to have grass-fed dairy. If you're going to have fat, you want to have good quality, clean fat. And the good quality, clean fats are all the fad fats that you can think of and look up. The coconut oils. Got avocado oil is a new one now. You have, olive oil is like, it's a good fat, but I guess because of the mass production and coming from other countries, it can apparently be oxidized or moldy, basically, go rancid. So if you're in California, there's plenty of good local California olive oil. Get some good local olive oil, and that should be, less rancid and less fatty. Good grass-fed meat. There's a good healthy fat there. You don't need too much protein though, but the fat is definitely healthy for you. And I remember me and Phil Baroni even used to have this like whole concept of like fat and happy or lean and mean. Like that was the only things we knew. And going back to that concept I was talking about looking in the mirror, it changed that whole paradigm when I learned about this fat and eating fat for your brain. And I'm sure everybody knows about like, putting fat in your coffee and all that stuff, MCT oil, but making that sort of realization that holy shit, I can look good in the mirror and I can eat hella fat and feel good too. I was like, I'm in. Yeah. So I started experimenting with all these different diets, and we'll go into diet on a specific, we'll go into diet only on a separate podcast. But I started going to all these different diets and really experimenting with what made me feel the best. And it really was this high-fat diet. And eating in a way that gave my body sustained energy and eating in a way that gave my brain sustained performance and not having these spikes. Because what that sugary diet can do is it will give you these sort of energy and mood spikes because your blood sugar is going to be spiking all the time. And that's one reason that they actually teach people to give people food in meetings or in interviews or, if you want to persuade somebody. If I want to persuade somebody, I'm take them out to eat.
Make them feel good, right?
We'll make their blood sugar balanced. Make them patient. I can sit there and talk to them all night. There you go. Then you get a little liquor in them. They get relaxed. Their inhibitions go. Yeah. But you gotta, sometimes you gotta work up to get those dinner meetings. But that's the science behind giving people food during meetings and interviews, is that it's to balance their blood sugar, and they're gonna be a little more patient and calm and listen to you, and you're gonna have their attention better and things like that. So, just take that as a mental health performance tip. Like, if you feel like your brain's not functioning properly, get some healthy fat. You feel like you're a little irritable and impatient with somebody, maybe you're just hungry. Like I remember like doing wrestling and fighting. Like my mom, and my family would say, "Oh, Tyson's PMSing again." That was funny. Usually when I was going on those zero fat diets, crash dieting, no fat, not a lot of carbs, but mostly carbs, protein. Yeah. Which again, carbs and protein turns into more carbs because of the protein. If you eat too much of it, turns into sugar in your bloodstream. But making that realization and playing around with eating for mental health, So nowadays, I basically eat for my mental health because although my physical health is important to me, I figured that out. And like nowadays, like doing this podcast, trying to run my gym, trying to deal with people that I hate because they're so easy to read and predictable. But I've learned to tell myself the opposite. I love people because they're predictable, because they're easy to read. So I just got to take the right actions now that they're easy to read. But that's what's helped me is eating for my mental health and making sure that I'm going to be able to be the best me, whether it's during these interviews, whether it's, during coaching. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. I yell at people all the time. And I do it less than I did in the past. I know that for a fact. I didn't used to talk to people. I just didn't. I just kept to myself. I was like, I don't want to talk to people. People suck. They're going to tell me some bullshit that I don't want to hear. And so, like, I had in my brain, I had everybody figured out,
Right.
I had everybody figured out, so why talk to them? But the reality is you don't have everybody figured out. People change and grow every day, all the time. And that's what I am all about. That's what I like about you, is seeing you grow and change. And it's been cool to watch, people do that. My cousin's helping with this podcast over here in the corner. It's been cool to watch him grow and change through martial arts, man. Like, and come out of his shell and
yeah.
Not only like he didn't do anything, and now he's, as far as socially, he did not want to be social. I still have a hard time getting to come to some social events, but at the same time, he now helps with the kids class teaching jiu-jitsu and although he's not 100% great at yelling at everybody and controlling him, he knows when to draw the line and put his foot down with the kids. And that's cool to see him like starting to sort of find himself and get that mental performance and be like, no, man, this is what you got to do. This is right, and sometimes that's what I think being sort of mentally healthy is about, is knowing when to do what's right for yourself and not always thinking about everybody else. And I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm a selfish person, and I've had a lot of people tell me a lot of things. And because I am the way I am and I care a little too much, sometimes I overanalyze and I think about it. I'm like, maybe I am. And I get, you know what? They're right. I am. We are all selfish. We are all 100% selfish as fuck and are going to do what we want to do. But you just got to make sure you do it with good conscience, good morals, that it's going to lead to positive benefits and positive outcomes and lead to a long, healthy life.
It's to add to that intention too. Like, some people, they might tell you you're selfish, but you have all the intentions that, like, while you're doing stuff for yourself, that you want to help others that are around you that are in it.
Mm-hmm.
So people might take it as like, oh, he's selfish because all he wants is for himself. But your intention is not just to be all about you. Like, you're doing what you have to do for yourself. But if people that are around you that are part of something like the podcast or whatever, like, you'd be willing to do something for him, for me, whatever. Like, it's the intention behind it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like what my selfish ass life and my selfish ass wants to do is help everybody grow, change, and be the best them they can be through martial arts, through healthy eating, through diet. And if that's selfish and if someone thinks that's bad and that I'm wrong, well then great. I'm just going to keep doing it because I've changed a bunch of lives, and that for me is addicting. Changing lives is addicting. Helping people grow is addicting. Watching people break down their own psychological, physical, mental barriers is fulfilling. And that's what I learned at Tony Robbins' event, is figuring out how to live a fulfilling life. I wasn't living a fulfilling life when I was competing and fighting, believe it or not. I was having fun. I was living the dream. But I wasn't living a fulfilling life. I wasn't helping people. I wasn't contributing. I take it back. I was contributing, but I wasn't consciously contributing. I was subconsciously or unconsciously contributing. A lot of people were motivated by me. A lot of people were watching me and wanted to be like me, and motivated a lot of people, I'm sure. But I wasn't consciously contributing in the beginning of my career. Towards the end of my career, I realized the platform I was on, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I got to do something good with this. I can't just be running around like just making money. I got to do something better with this. So that was when I started working with people like Boys Town, Nevada, and trying to give back through my fights. And unfortunately, that was the end of my career too, when I ended up getting cut from the UFC and went through a bad spell of depression. Got cut from the UFC, decided to take like basically a year off, figure out what I want to do in my life. And that's when I figured out that I really did need mixed martial arts. That's when I figured out I really did need to be in the gym training, whether or not I ever competed again.
How did they tell you, like, if you don't mind me asking?
How did I get cut from the UFC? How did they tell me?
Yeah.
Basically, my manager. Yeah, it was my manager at the time. To be honest, was a lame fuck.
Oh, shit.
I didn't realize it, but man, the guy was a piece of shit. To be honest, I'm not even gonna mention his name. People know who he is, but I think he was just there for the money.
Damn.
And it's very unfortunate that it happened, but at the same time, it's good. It's a blessing in disguise. It's one of the reasons that I want to help coach and mentor these young fighters that want to compete. I don't want anybody to ever have what happened to me happen to them. You know, when I needed my manager the most in my career, he was not there. When I was down and out, cut from the UFC, needed money, needed sponsorship funds, moved to San Jose to try to revamp my career. My manager was nowhere to be found. Didn't help me collect sponsorship money after one of my fights. Made excuses down the road after the fact. Still has never explained to me, like a man, honestly and transparently, what happened. I personally believe he had some sort of, I don't know, substance issue. I don't know.
Oh.
Financial issue. I don't know why. I don't know what. But now I'm going on a rant. But again, I just found out through him. And then when I asked him, I said, well, explain how the conversation went. You know, they were like, oh, well, they just said because of this, because you missed weight. And that's true. I missed weight in my last fight at the UFC. I missed weight. Oh, and then you tested positive. Yep, I tested positive for marijuana after one of my fights. That's very true. But looking at all the circumstances, my manager should have negotiated something.
You feel he could?
He should have negotiated something. So I had dropped. What had happened was I dropped down I dropped down to featherweight 145, and I had a couple losses at 155. It didn't help, I'm sure. And then I beat Manny Gambourian at 145. My second fight at 145 against Palachevsky, I missed weight, and then that was the fight that I got cut after. I tried to explain to my manager that I wasn't going to make weight for that fight. I said, call them right now, let them know I'm not making weight. Let's figure out a catch weight. Apparently, he didn't do that. I found out later. He just said that I was close when I told them specifically what to do. So there was a lack of communication. There was a lack of trust. There was a lack of respect. I don't know what was going on. We just weren't on the same page. And there were some things that I should have recognized sooner that we weren't on the same page, and I should have acted on. I should have followed my gut and acted on it. But I convinced myself to stay in a relationship with his manager because I started with him, you know, and I wanted to help him grow. I wanted to build him as a manager, and I wanted to see him
Instead of
do
not
great.
really worrying about yourself.
Yeah, I should have worried about myself first. I should have been selfish. I should have jumped ship, and I should have teamed up with the people that were helping guys like Chuck Liddell. I had guys that were representing Chuck Liddell coming to me and trying to help me, but I was too loyal.
You're like, I already have a manager. Blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to try to be loyal. I'm going to try and do this and try and do that. But anyway, that's what happened. I ended up getting cut from the UFC. I ended up trying to figure out my life, not knowing what I was doing. I figured out I really wanted fighting. I had to fight again. Then I ended up getting injured. So that triggered another whole set of depression, which...
During training?
I got injured in the Jay-Z fight.
Okay.
Yep, I got injured in the Jay-Z fight. I had basically what I thought was a stinger, but my neck and my shoulder just did not come back. It was numb and pain, and it was not fun. So I had a pinched nerve, and I lost function in my tricep, my rear deltoid, my scapula. I couldn't do a push-up on my knees at one point. And when you talk about depression, and I now know what it was, but basically when your nerve damage and nerve impingement can lead to depression. So even if you're naturally a happy, healthy person, if your body physically is not happy and healthy, your body physically is jacked up, and a lot of people in these sedentary lifestyles and, you know, sitting at these desks, their shoulders are getting pinched. You got your whole brachial nerve. You got your whole brachial nerve complex that comes through your shoulder here. That if this shoulder's impinged and all jacked up is not good. You've got all these nerves and stuff that go through your hips.
Yeah.
That if my hips are all tight and jacked up, that literally it can trigger this spell of depression. And so when the mind and the body don't match up, and you mentally can't or physically can't do what your mind wants it to do, like, hey, I want to go grab this. Like, when you can't do that, man, it triggers like a level of depression that you would not believe. So coming back from my nerve damage was probably tougher than dealing with anything that I've dealt with in my life.
Yeah.
To be 100% honest, man, like, it's something that I literally say I don't wish upon my worst enemy. I don't wish it upon my best friend. Like, I don't, like, there's some experiences where I'm like, yeah, people should go through that. They should grow from that. No, nerve damage, I don't think anybody should go through that. It's not fun. You have no timeline of recovery. So, here I am just hoping to recover and get better and stronger one day, while I'm trying to coach and do all this other stuff. But that's just one of those things where you also have to have a little bit of faith and a little bit of belief. And growing up Christian, I think, helped me. I'm not like a crazy God person now and crazy church going person now because of my personal reasons and all that. But, just having faith and knowing that, you just got to focus on yourself, do what you can do, and be the best you possible. Give yourself good natural foods. I mean, Garden of Life, got great shit. Put good foods in you. Take care of yourself. Take care of those around you, and do what leads you to feeling truly fulfilled is what's going to lead to better mental health and in the end, I believe, happiness.
Yeah.
So I think that wraps it up. I got nothing else to go on right now, and we're going to definitely start talking about some diet in the next episode. And thanks again for listening. Everybody that's been listening or watching on YouTube or SoundCloud, please like, share, subscribe, all of that. And also leave a comment. If there's anything that you liked or disliked about this episode, please leave a comment. Leave a question. If there's anything that you want to hear about in regards to this topic or any other topics, leave a comment on anything. Send a email if you would like as well to Tyson@pfmma.com, or do whatever you got to do to get your question to us on all those social media platforms. The TLG Show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And peace, love, and hair grease.
Peace out.